Michael Jordan is making some moves. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen.
Charlotte Hornets owner Michael Jordan is reportedly in serious talks to sell a majority stake of the franchise.
Charlotte Sports Live's Gabe McDonald live in the studio breaking down the potential deal. Gabe.
Yeah, guys, a report coming from ESPN earlier this evening. According to that report, no deal is imminent. However, there is significant momentum regarding a potential sale to Hornets minority owner Gabe Plotkin and Rick Schnall, minority owner for the Atlanta Hawks. If the sale does indeed happen, both men would be co-governors of the Charlotte Hornets. Now, that report from ESPN also says that Michael Jordan would still remain on board with a minority stake in the franchise. Now, keep in mind, he is still the only black majority owner in the NBA. Now, just 3 years ago, Jordan sold a significant minority stake to Plotkin and Daniel Sondheim, founder of D1 Capital.
So let's start there. All right, and I'm reading super chats throughout the show, so I'm definitely going to get to you asking me about my green hat. Damn, I might have to go get my St. Patrick's Day hat, my Groku hat. Anyways, I get to it. So, Michael Jordan, the one whose shoes y'all love the most. I'm not wearing Jordans. I don't have on no Jordans right now. I got on my Yeezys right now. I got on the Yeezys. I'm a Yeezy guy personally, so I'm still a Yeezy guy. The original Yeezys. The one before Adidas tried to cancel them. Michael Jordan, y'all love so much. Hey, I remember when y'all kept talking about how we need to have ownership. We need to have ownership. We need to be more represented inside of these organizations. Remember? Why don't we have more black faces at the top of these boardrooms inside of the NHL and the NBA and the NFL where we're the majority of the ones that's on the floor? Well, it's the same reason why. You're not going to like this part. It's the same reason why your mama and your grandmother and your great-grandfather actually bought their houses inside of these communities in the cities. And as soon as they pass it over into the next person in their family, y'all sold off the fucking plot of land. And now y'all want to sit here and talk about how we don't own no real estate and the top 1% owns 90% of the real estate. Well, you sold off your mama's house. You sold off your mama's house so you can go and get a BBL over in Mexico, and then they can arrest y'all at the border and kill two of y'all. I see y'all pulling up to the different terminals inside of Miami. It's a terminal for the Spirit people, and it's a terminal for the Delta people. Now, I'm not tripping off of Spirit. I'm just saying that I'm a Delta guy, and I see the women that pull up to the Spirit terminal. And all of them hoes be having pillows in their hands. And if you look at the internet and you do any searches, most of them be sitting on their knees facing the seat because they can't sit down and they couldn't really afford the BBL in the first place. It's the truth. It's the truth. Michael Jordan and Bob Johnson. Bob Johnson. Why do you think that the Charlotte Hornets was called the Charlotte Bobcats at one point? Bob Johnson. You know, the one that was busting down Debbie Lee. Debbie Lee. We talked about that the other day. Debbie Lee. Bob Johnson actually was the owner of the Bobcats. Yo, Don Barton Cablevision, when they was rolling out the cable companies and they was forcing these environments and these companies and these municipalities in order to have a black owner or pick a black owner or a majority black owner. And Don Barton, a lot of y'all not even familiar with Don Barton. He was one of the first 100 millionaires, multi-millionaires, potentially billionaires. He wound up passing away. He was a prominent member in the Detroit Fabric and a Detroit businessman. He wound up selling it, which then became Comcast and all of these other companies, which then became Xfinity that y'all can now purchase as far as becoming a publicly traded company. You can purchase shares in these companies, right? And so when you get the opportunity, let me say this. When you get the opportunity to then become a part of these communities and to participate in the places that you run in the Victim Olympics for, your heroes and your people, which they can do whatever they want with these things, decide that they want to sell out. They sell the companies and then you have no representation in it. And so how can you sit here and complain about what your representation is supposed to look like, whether it's the real estate, whether it's the ownership in these businesses, or whether you're talking about these large companies? I watched a video the other day of how the Saudis move as far as how they're leveraging the money that they're making from oil in order to participate, buy up everything in Africa. They buying up everything in the United States. Asian and Chinese investors are becoming some of the biggest real estate holders in the United States of America, and they don't even touch the soil. They're becoming owners of a lot of these properties, and they have not even touched the soil. They're making deals across the internet. I'm tired of hearing you complain about ownership. Let me tell you what black people are, but I'm going to tell you after I get done reading the rest of this.
The report also says that Sondheim is part of the group that is looking to purchase the team. Now, of course, if the sale does go through, it would end Michael Jordan's 13-year run as majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets. We did reach out to the team this evening, but have yet to hear back. The Hornets.
So here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. I own a lot of properties in Metro Detroit. I'm growing to the point to where people in other communities, like other municipalities, because now I'm starting to expand my reach into other connecting municipalities, and even to the point to where I'm looking at, and Rita's trying to talk me out of it, I'm looking at buying up entire blocks and entire neighborhoods that has been forgotten about or forsaken within the city of Detroit itself, because all of my properties at this point are in the surrounding suburban communities in Oakland County, which is technically the richest county inside of Michigan, right? So all of my properties are in prominent communities and things like that, right? But I'm looking to get to the point to where now I'm starting to evaluate buying up entire blocks and then building. Why do you think that this is game, recognized game? Why do you think that I'm so dedicated to building this first home? Why I'm contracting my same general contractor that helped me build my first restaurant? Because I'm learning, I'm understanding, I'm taking the hits, I'm taking the lessons. I was talking to Luis, who's a part of the Patreon today, on a coaching call this morning, and he said, Anton, why are you so gung-ho? Why do you just continue to go into things that you don't even know yet and you're trying to I said, because that's what my life is. He said, explain. I said, I spend my time learning, investing. I'm going to lose a lot of money in the process of learning, but I'm going to become a master at it. And when I become a master at it, I'm going to make way more money on the back end. So I'm getting finessed about the things that I don't know now. But then when I learn it and I put my 10,000 hours in it and I'm paying this general contractor to teach me, and I'm paying him a lot of money, so I'm losing a lot of money on the front end that I could be saving if I did it the other way, right? Or if I just do turnkey properties like I had been doing before. But I'm losing a whole lot of money. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars. I'm investing and losing a lot of money on the front end because I'm having them show me, teach me, spend extra time. And time is money. And I'm paying these people, carpenters, electricians, architects, HVAC people, general contractors. I'm working with different people as far as the permitting process, general managers of the entire site and properties and things like that, concrete companies and all of this, building foundations, clearing the trees and all of this other type of stuff, leveling things out, seeing how much it's going to cost me as far as the assessor's office for how much they're going to start to evaluate the property for as far as a property tax perspective. All of these different things I'm learning, but it's costing me a lot of money to do it. And the reason why I'm so much better than your favorite guru is because they just took a fucking course. I did it in real life. So when I spend my money and then I give y'all the game inside of the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. It's so easy for me to come on these live streams or these webinars and give you the game, or when you book a coaching call, because I did it. I suffered through it so that I can then implement it, master it. And then when I come to you, which is one of the reasons why I started a YouTube journey as far as documenting the game. I didn't come on YouTube as a guru and giving people a bunch of game. Even this Millionaire Morning Show is a residual effect of things that then happened in my life. But all of the shit was just documenting the journey so you can see where I came from, and then you understand who the person is that you're dealing with. So then when I start to give you the game inside of the Patreon, I've mastered it. I could talk about it like it's in the back of my head because it's just a part of my nature. I understand business and looking at things from a business perspective. I can break down Umar Johnson's situation and tell you whether or not I assess he's going to be successful or not from a business perspective. I can listen to somebody like a Boyce Watkins and can tell he spent his entire life inside of a classroom. He's never actually got busy, did any e-commerce, did any real estate, built anything. His entire life is based off of what it is that he can learn in a book and then teach it professor-wise. It ain't the same as being able to have your hands dirty, because even in business, they say mind your own business, meaning that they want you, and I'm going to reading the super chat shortly, they want you, if somebody comes to you and they tell you that this is a good recommendation as far as where you put your money in, the reason why I show the receipts is because I want to see that you put your money in too, and you already a part of it, because why is it so good for me, but it's not as good for you? Don't tell me that you a fucking analyst or can manage my portfolio. Show me your portfolio. Why is it so good for you to do it and not, or for me to do it and not for you to do it? So I master this shit myself. I'm willing to forego and lose money so that I can learn the process and then be able to come back and give you the game. But the overwhelming majority of black people, you know what I see? You know what they are? They fucking flippers. And I'm not talking about a flipper just from the aesthetics of a real estate. Yo, I'm gonna buy the property, hurry up and fix it up, put some paint on it, put some money in the spaces where it's probably gonna bring the most value out of the property, and then get it off and sell it to somebody, and then they the fool. We are flippers. We buy a car, clean it up, and then sell it to the next highest bidder. We don't even buy a property. We finance a property, try to finesse it really quickly, use a hard money loan, and then try to get it over to the next biggest person. Because we don't really see the inherent value in owning the land, owning the property, and real ownership. We talk about ownership in the black community, but we don't really understand what ownership is and what it means and what comes along with it. Ownership is power. It's not about making money. Listen to me, people. Listen, let me move this out the way so I can help you to understand it. Ownership is about power. You think that ownership is about generating passive income so you can be able to support a lifestyle. It's not. It's about determining the laws. It's about controlling the mayors and the county superintendents and the county treasurer, and being able to determine the millages and what gets built in what community and what county, and whether or not Amazon can come in or Walmart can come in and build within your community in order to run out all of the small businesses and small mom and pop shops. Is determining whether or not a high school is going to be over there, or whether or not this is going to be over here, and how we zone in this over here, and then what roads are going to be built, and how it is that we can participate in the government election, and whether or not they redraw redistricting lines. Ownership is power. It's not about money. The money comes along with it. Anybody can get money. If you work hard enough, you can get money. But how do you redistribute wealth? So when I see people, and I have to break it down from a smaller perspective a lot of times when I'm talking about a lot of these different stories, and then people will say, well, Anton, why do you keep calling us in the oppression Olympics and the victim Olympics? Because you have the opportunity, you fumbled it, and you made a quick flip. Michael Jordan allegedly paid $150 million or something like that for the majority stake in the ownership, and at the time Charlotte Bobcats, and then renamed it to the Charlotte Hornets. He's possibly selling it, according to ESPN reports, for somewhere around $1.7, $1.8 billion. Now, to most black people, they're going to say, man, he came up on a bag. He killing it. To other owners within the NBA, they own it until they die. The only time that ownership changes hands in the NBA is when an owner dies. When Bill Davidson died and he died with the Pistons, then his people wind up selling it over into Tom Gores, who owns Platinum Equity, and they owning it as an asset. You don't see ownership really change hands over in the NFL, ever. You know why? Because it's power. You know how many incentives and how much they're able to bend the city over or bend these counties over in order to even threaten to move it over into a different county or whatever, so on and so forth? Man, the city of Chicago was begging the Bears to do with it. Man, they was trying to throw every nook and cranny over. You know what owning the Ambassador Bridge did for Matty Maroon, which is the person that owns one of the direct connect routes, the most important route from the United States over to Canada, did for him? You know how much property he wound up and he was able to secure as around those areas, and he literally just sold the Michigan Train Central Depot Station over into the Ford Motor Company for almost $1 billion. He sat on that property. He wasn't trying to make a quick flip. He sat on the property until he got them over a barrel in order to be able to leverage that in order to make other connections and deals that happen that you don't even know of. It's a power play. Now, it's not about money. You keep looking at these rappers and they keep throwing this money over the screen and you getting enticed. That don't mean shit. It's about power. And so when you sell your grandmammy's home and Michael Jordan sell the Charlotte Hornets and the Bobcats, and y'all go and get some more shoes, and you got fucking his son over there dating that modern chick, Larsa Pippen, and everything like that, I don't want to hear nothing else. I don't want to hear nothing from you. I don't want to hear anything else from the black community until you stop fucking talking about how much you can get your credit up and you start spending more time accumulating assets and wealth. Because together with these assets and wealth, you then are able to control the narrative of what happens in your state, your communities, and even the fucking election. Man, I can go so much deeper on this. I can go so deep on this. It's about power. It's a concentration of power. They build you a little park in your community, you get excited. They build you a little park in your community and you get excited. Look how much we pouring into the kids. Meanwhile, they stealing every single thing up from under you, including the very land in which your ancestors sold you from. Africa ain't even Africa no more. They might as well name it China-Africa and Saudi-Africa. They might as well name Africa Saudi-Africa and China-Africa. Because it ain't a black person that have any kind of concentration of power inside of that place. They done stole every mineral, every oil, every coin, every gold, every diamond, everything. And they controlling the distribution of it so that you still think that diamonds mean something. And now you got all of these rappers wearing their chains with all of these blood diamonds in it because you think that it means something just to impress people that don't give a fuck about you. When we still talking about power, we still talking about America, we still talking about what it is that you're supposed to do within these economies in these countries. You still asking for a fucking handout. You can't even pay your own student loan debt and you asking Biden for forgiveness so that you can vote for him and that he can keep you over a barrel, and you don't understand that this is a concentration of power. You don't understand why every fucking Congress member is rich. Every person that's in every legislative branch wind up getting rich. How is that possible when they only make a salary of $100 and some thousand a year? How is every fucking legislator rich? Ask yourself that question. We still talking about flipping and asking for handouts? Every single legislator is loaded. Loaded. Y'all can't understand for the life of y'all why people would even go for these positions because they don't even pay no money. The president of the fucking United States actual salary is less than $500,000 a year, and you can't understand why Trump is going for that office. You can't figure it out to save your life. You think that they going for the salary. You can't figure out why anybody would put themselves in harm's way and be hated by the majority of the general public in order to take on a fucking public position. We had Rick Snyder. This dude took more L's as the governor of Michigan, especially for the Flint crisis, and this man was already a millionaire. He was a multi-tens, hundreds of millionaire, and this dude came in to fix Michigan because I'm a businessman. And y'all think that that was just because he loved the community? Y'all fucking insane? Are y'all crazy? Are y'all not listening to what I'm saying? Is this too deep for y'all? Are we going too deep? Did I use this whole Jordan situation and I went too deep for y'all? Are we going too deep or are we just hitting the surface? Because it's Friday and I ain't got shit else to do. I got a show to go over there and record at like 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I ain't got shit else to do except for cook today. Am I going too deep? Every time your leaders and your people that you celebrate, and that's why y'all need to stop following fucking entertainers just because they can shoot a basketball, or just because they Jordan and you wear their shoes, or just because they can write a rap lyric, you sit there and you continue to think that you supposed to follow them because they was able to give a crossover, and that's the end of the conversation. Ownership don't change hands inside of the NFL. It don't change hands inside of the. You know why they call it the Good Old Boys Network? Crazy, man.